insane circumstances, things you're never going to think. I mean, you know, it's always in like the worst situation where your kid has like some massive blowout, gets all over you or something. I don't know, and you're trying to deal with all that stuff. Remain calm, find accurate and smart solutions to each. And it's what's funny too is like you were saying, it becomes more about like just the most immediate thing. Okay, let me fix this thing. Okay, now we can fix this thing, and we're gonna get through this thing. So yeah, it's man, it's the same, in life. Whenever we're dealing with anything that we love and we care about, it's like, yeah, we got to remain calm, chive on, and just take those failures a step at a time, but can never get stuck. Just got to keep moving.
Welcome everyone back to the Sean Trey Show. I've got a return awesome guest with me today. Would you like to tell people who you are and a little bit about what you do, brother?
My name is Jared Vermeulen. I'm a father of two. Got a beautiful wife that puts up with a lot of my craziness, all my hobbies. I'm a firefighter. Been doing that for almost 20 years between paramedic work, hospital work, and work with the fire service. And it led me to write a leadership book called The Modern Fire Officer for fledgling officers that's been doing well in its genre. It's a very small demographic, but it's been accepted well in that demographic, and I'm very flattered and honored for how well it's done so far. And yeah, like we were saying before, maybe before we started recording, try to be a jack of all trades. I like to have hobbies. I like to build things, keep my brain busy. As you can see in the background, the 3D printer and some tools and things like that. So anything that kind of like get me out of my comfort zone and do something new, I like it.
That's awesome. Well, you were talking like, I've got guitars behind me, and you were talking about you build guitars. Like, talk to me about that. How did you get into building your own guitars?
So I built one in high school. It was a project in shop, and they wanted you to, pick something that you cared about and make it into a woodworking project. So at the time, I cared about making or playing guitar. I was a kid in a band, the whole thing. You're back in the 90s and early 2000s. And so I decided, all right, yeah, I'm trying to make a guitar. A friend of mine gave me a really nice piece of cherry, solid piece of cherry.
Oh, nice.
And I designed a guitar shape with that, cut it out, and learned a lot of things the hard way for guitar building. That it's not just, like cut something out, stick a neck on it and throw some strings, but that you have to be pretty deliberate in your calculations on where the neck falls so that the scale is right to the bridge, so that you intonate the guitar correctly. Otherwise, it'll be completely out of tune past the 12th fret and all kinds of stuff. So it was definitely a learning, event there. And then just kind of got back into it recently, like in the last couple of years, had some extra time and wanted to do something more productive with my time than spend it on YouTube or doom scrolling. So yeah, it's been fun. And yeah, obviously see the guitars behind you, the nice acoustics and stuff. There's something to playing music that I think really helps with just your cognitive ability, like brain fog and all that kind of stuff. I feel like whenever I'm just not thinking straight, if I could maybe play an instrument for a little bit, it kind of gets those synapses firing in a way that is going to help you to kind of get through that and think, I don't know, you have that same kind of relationship with music?
I do. It's like a couple things there. I feel like it's my life is just high pressure. It's constant. Like I've got so much going on between family, work, and just trying to keep my head on straight. And I do find music is one of those places that actually helps me stay grounded. But not just music. Like I love doing crafts and hobbies and things like that. And I try to involve my daughter. Like I had said before we started as well, like I would love to learn how to make a guitar, but like I made my own wallet and I've been doing some leatherworking classes, and it's absolutely fascinating to me just to be able to do that, but also to be able to sit down and just take that time. And it's slow time. Like it's deliberate slow time. Like there's no way to make that wallet fast. I mean, I could, but you make mistakes. So you're stitching at the pace that you're stitching. And like my wife was like, "How long is it going to take you guys?" Because we were running late to a family dinner, and I'm like, "I don't know." I'm like about 2/3 of the way around this wallet right now. Might be another hour. It might be longer. And so it's like I think that one of the things that I love doing is trying to be kind of intentional and slowing down, because I before we even get into leadership and talk about all that, like you have to have your head on straight and be able to stay calm when all of the stuff is going wild around you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And a lot of that, like you said, it's being intentional, it's centering yourself, it's, allowing yourself to kind of come down from technology,
Yeah.
because when you're doing that, you're not just like mindlessly looking at something. You're using your hands, the tactileness there, you're learning something new. And it's also, I think, psychology wise, I'm not a psychologist, but how I look at that too is that like many systems and processes we do now, I feel like you never get to see the outcome. And
Yeah.
and that's like so important to see the outcome. And when you're building something with your hands, you're it's your baby the whole way through. You've done it, and you get to see it every step of the way till it's finished, and you can be proud of that.
I like from the moment I wake up, because I have my own business that I run, and I'm just constantly juggling people. And it's one of the things too is like keeping that sense of calm is tough for me. It's just like there's a bunch going on. And like today, I asked if we could reschedule this podcast, and then I called you back. I was like, "Hey, can we still do it?" Because my wife was like, "I need to go re-record a song. Can you drive me out there across town and listen to me do this and come back?" And it was just like, wow, it was a lot going on. But like sometimes when I find these practices, for me, there's a couple things that I lean into during the day and during the week. Is one of them is my Muay Thai class with my daughter, and I'm not going in there working out hard. I'm coming in and doing light cardio, hitting the bag light. But what happens is when I'm doing that, my brain, I can turn off the the noise. It's sometimes playing guitar, definitely not sometimes, when I play guitar, it definitely has the same thing.
Yeah, you have to focus on that.
Yep.
You can't focus on anything else, and it's like just being able to think about one thing.
Right.
It's kind of nice.
But one of the things I notice is like that calm that I have is almost a little bit like contagious. When I am able to cultivate that, I notice that I'm able to pass that on to my daughter, and it starts to flow out. And then, but if I'm just like amped up and all over the place, it that spreads as well. But like, can you talk to me about like when you hear the phrase like calm is contagious, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, that means to me that if you're a leader, that you should be looking to be contagious. I mean, that's essentially
Right.
if you're leading, you want people to be led, to hopefully follow you. And if you're not inspiring that, you're not contagious, in that way. And you know pretty much in any line of work, like unless your line of work is creating chaos, you want a calmness there.
They are out there.
Yeah, they are out there. I'm sure we can think of some. Like maybe influencers like Mr. Beast or something like that. Like they kind of want that chaos. It's for the
Right.
Entertainment effect. But in many lines of work, the calmness is a necessary thing so that people can think straight and work efficiently. And if you can't be the example in that and create the environment where that can take hold, then that's not going to happen, and you're not going to have any type of product, at least not a good one, or not that's going to be, delivered on time. And for what we do, in the fire service and the medical field, whether it's pre-hospital or hospital setting, it's chaos a lot of times. I mean, we're trying to make sound decisions and with limited information within that chaos. So the calmer you can be, the more you can allow your mind to work to recall not just your protocols and training and stuff, but maybe anything else that could help you in the moment, and then get it done. So, that calmness is contagious thing. To be contagious it's not just like a nice thing. It's like an absolute necessity.
Yeah. I talk to all types of people. I got to talk to a Navy SEAL yesterday. That was awesome. Great interview talking about, pressure and resilience. And while he was talking about something, I didn't bring it up in the podcast, but I was thinking about, he was talking about high stress situations. And I was trying to think about some of the most high stress situations I've been in. And I would love to say that they were some fantastic thing, but dude, you know what they are? It was like parental moments. I'm riding in a taxi through Bangkok. My wife was wanting to do some more shopping, and I needed to get from where we're at, Chatuchak Market, all the way back to where we were staying. And so she's like, all right, and I said, I can take Ailani home. It's late. You go have some fun shopping. What can happen? Now, those are very bad words to say as a parent. In Bangkok, in the back of a taxi, we're driving across city, and my daughter grew up on motorbikes. So at that time, early on, whenever she was in a car, she would vomit, and I forgot about that.
Oh boy!
And she vomited top to bottom, it's just chalked. It was all over me. It was from my neck down to my toes. Somehow I was able to stay calm and kind of turn her towards me so it didn't get all over the cab. And I'm sitting there, and the guy's turning back. He's like, is everything okay? I'm like, it's all good. And I'm just sitting there on top of me. And I've just had to keep my head straight because I'm covered in vomit. And we've got and he was going some of these weird roads that I did not know where we were at. I'm just oh, is everything okay? But, I had to stay calm. I was I had to think clearly. I was all right, the smell's going to be an issue here. I need to put the window down. I put the window down, and he's like, you want some fresh air? I'm like, yeah, fresh air is good. We got all the way back to the hotel, and I was able to turn, and I looked, and I had kept the car clean. I have no idea. And tried to get my daughter and I through the hotel lobby. That was a whole other thing. And we got up to the room, and I just took off all the clothes, threw them in the bath, scrubbed everything down, got my daughter cleaned up into bed. And I sat there and I texted my wife. I was like, so yeah, remember I said, what could happen? Everything happened. And she started cracking up. She was worried, first of all. And then when I told her the story, she was laughing. But there was someone that I came on, and they said, one of the ways that they succeed is they tell themselves there's no room to fail. And as a parent, you can't really fail, man. You got to get it right. You got to keep going. And maybe you don't get it right, but you got to keep going. And, it's a high pressure type of a thing. But yeah, man. What do you think about all that?
I would say I would change that slightly and say it's not that there's no room to fail. It's just there's no room to stop after failure.
I love that.
Continue to move. I mean, you're going to fail. That's for sure. I mean, like you said, parenting is definitely going to teach you that, and along with patience. Parenting is going to teach you how to definitely be calm under really insane circumstances, things you're never going to think. I mean, it's always in the worst situation where your kid has some massive blowout, gets all over you or something. I don't know. And you're trying to deal with all that stuff, remain calm, find, accurate and smart solutions to, each. And it's what's funny too, is like you were saying, it becomes more about just the most immediate thing. Okay, let me fix this thing. Okay, now we can fix this thing. And we're going to get through this thing. So yeah, it's man, it's the same in life, whenever we're dealing with anything that we love and we care about, it's like, yeah, we got to remain calm, chive on, and
Jive
just
on,
take
man.
those failures a step at a time, but can never get stuck. Just got to keep moving.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. For me, um, I've gotten really good at just like the next step. I've got checklists, this is what I got done today. And this was the small checklist that was a summary of this big checklist. And like for me, I just like sit there and go, because otherwise I'll just get sucked into emotional overwhelm. For me, like I focus on the next thing. But I wanted to ask you, like, what do you do to keep, your self steady, or are you teaching like the guys that work with you? Is in moments where everything is chaotic, what can you do to focus? What do you focus on to stay steady internally?
I think the biggest thing, especially in our line of work, is you're focused on the relationships that you have with the people that you're dealing with and that comes from a lot of pre-gaming, where hopefully you put the work in to make those relationships good, because when the proverbial crap's hitting the fan, like, then you have all these resources around you that are also invested in getting through this thing with you together in a way that makes sense. And I think the more that we focus on the relationships around us, the more that all those things aren't that big of a deal sometimes. I mean, obviously there's things, the trauma, tragedy that comes up in our lives where it's like, yeah, it's bad. It's always going to be bad. But the more of the relationships that we built around us that we rely on, that rely on us, that's how we're going to get through this thing. And that's how we do it in the fire service. That's why it's a team approach. It's a crew. That's why the camaraderie there. It's the brotherhood. We have the way we treat each other in the firehouse, and the meals we have, and the ceremonies we do, and the parades and all that stuff. That's what that is. It's for in the hard moments when we look over and we see, okay, I got this because they got me, and vice versa.
That's awesome, man. And you don't think about that as much. And I with my team, that I've been building at my company, it's like I try to lead from the front about just trying to set the tone and try to let people know, like, whether it's a good day or bad day, we have each other's back, like team building type stuff. Um, I lead through comedy. Like, that's my thing. I try to make sure that people are laughing the whole day. And that doesn't work for everything. But, then we can have fun. But then when stuff gets tough and I shift out of the comedy, people are like ready to step up with me. They're like, okay, I can sense the tone change. We got to get to work. But like, one of the things too is like, I have to be careful. I have to be careful with my emotional spikes. It's like I have a bit of a temper, and I gotta like I've learned the hard way that I kind of have to pull myself back. And there's certain things that I do to do that, but it's not always easy. Like today I was driving and some guy cut right next to me, and he hit my leg with his motorcycle a little bit, and I just was like ready to like, dude, what the hell, dude?
Ready to
Like,
test out some Muay Thai.
yeah, right. And I look down, I look over at him, and I look at he's got this adorable little poodle on his bike riding with him, and I was just like, well, you can't be a complete jerk if he's got that cute little dog sitting there. So I was just like, tone it back, because we got my daughter a little poodle that rescued this pup, and it is adorable, and she's a sweetheart, and her and my daughter are inseparable. And I was just like, you know what? But I have to try to like create little mental cues like that, so that I can pull myself back from those emotional spikes. But what do you do to pull yourself back when you start getting that energy build up?
Usually it's like, in a nutshell, pretty much what you're saying. It's perspective realignment, right? So in that sense, you realigned your perspective. You at first were like, this is an adversary, this guy on this bike. But look, he's got a cute poodle. He's probably not that bad of a dude. You know what I mean? So who knows? You could take it further. Maybe he was rushing that poodle to the vet because it was dying, or so. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But what that does is it puts things into a different perspective, and takes you sometimes out of the center of the story where we put ourselves a lot, where we're the most important thing. And in reality, we're really not. There's many important things and people out there, and our story in the moment might not be the most important one. And when we kind of put ourselves through that perspective check, like, today, the worst thing that might have happened to me was I got sideswiped by a cute poodle on a bike. That's probably not so bad. I wonder
Right.
how it went for, possibly that guy or
Yeah.
anyone else, that's going through, something extremely difficult. So it comes down to, again, to like thankfulness. So that perspective change kind of gets you more in a mindset. It's like, what though am I thankful for? These things, okay, things are pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of like how I do that for more long term, emotional benefit than just like short term. I'm angry right now. Usually have to like do more intention things like breath work,
Yeah. Right.
or walk away or whatever it takes. But yeah, I mean, perspective change is a massive motivator to make sure that you kind of stay more healthy and in your perspective.
And it's important because, like, as the leader, people are looking to you, and if you're losing your emotional center, like, the whole team's going to get thrown off. I know that my daughter relies on me to be even keeled when I'm driving through the city and there's chaos around us. And she calls me out on it at times. If she senses that fire starting to rise, she'll be like, "Hey, I need you to be focused right now to get me home." And I'm like, "Yes, you do, you old soul." And so it calls me up. But, like, when we lose that emotional control, things can spiral. And I have you ever seen or experienced a situation like that where you or someone you knew kind of lost their center and the team suffered from it?
Um, yeah, I mean, it happens more often probably than we'd like it to when someone and how I approach that is it's their foundation, right? So something is
Mm,
shaking their foundation,
yeah.
and that's why um, they're spiraling. So I liken it to a tree. If um, your foundation is your roots, when your roots go down way deep, right? The storms of life come, it shakes it, might knock off some leaves or branches or whatever, but the tree stands. Even if it was to get broken, snapped off or whatever, it can still be set upright or grow back. But sometimes when those roots are attacked, that's the real foundational shake. And we have that as well. We have that in any line of work and in life in general. Sometimes it's a little more difficult in emergency services because we're dealing with those things that shake our foundation, and we're responding to the things that shake others' foundations, other people's worst days. So, for example, I had a firefighter that I've had a few firefighters that have lost siblings to overdose. You know, 100% they're going to bring that to work. It's impossible to leave tragedy like that in your life the moment you step through the doors. That's not realistic. And realistically as well, because of the job that we do, they're going to most likely within a week run on someone that is overdosing on drugs. And there's something that's going to shake you. You're currently dealing with a loss, and at the same time you're in a scenario and an environment where someone else could be dealing with that or is. So the behaviors that come from that can be truly like scary, because when you're going through loss or tragedy like that, you could lash out, you could say things that you don't mean, all those different things, and you have to understand that that's normal. Not that we want it, but it is normal. That's not something we're going to want to continue, but also that we can possibly minimize it too, because obviously that's going to be a trigger. So for me, when someone is dealing with a specific tragedy, loss, whatever, that's obvious that that thing is going to be a trigger. So I try to pregame that by speaking with them. And this is the same for myself, where like, I know this thing's a trigger. How do I limit it in my life? It's the same thing with those on my crew. If I know this thing's going to be a trigger, okay, I'll have a conversation with them. Like, listen, this, say it was an overdose. This thing just happened. First off, should you be here? Do you need more time for yourself? Think about yourself first. That's what sick time is for. That's what annual leave is for. But if you're willing to be back and do your best, then can we limit this trigger for you? If we go on to an overdose call, would you be okay if you stayed by the truck, didn't go in? Or if you did some other job that didn't involve you being involved in that trigger? And that really is, how you survive those kinds of extremely difficult situations, is realizing what is the trigger and mitigating it the best that you can until you're healthy enough, to where you can get through those things. And that's the same for you personally. It's the same for the people that you're trying to benefit through leadership. And at its heart, it's that foundation, keeping that foundation strong.
It's interesting because there are triggers out there for everyone in life, and it depends on you have it. But if you can't look at it and see what it is and identify it, it's really hard. And maybe even realizing that you have a trigger. I know people, and there are certain areas for myself that I'm blind to some of the things that light me up. And I think one of the important things, like when I drive through the city in traffic, I'm well, you gotta understand, like, it's a whole different ball game here. You've been to Southeast Asia, like this. I saw someone today riding a motorcycle in a busy intersection while texting and just simply looking down at their phone while navigating a left turn through Saigon traffic. And I was just like, I can barely drive here with all my senses about me. And just to have someone staring down, and like that triggers me. And I just want to yell at them and scream at them and tell them to get their head out of their asses. And doesn't mean I'm not wrong, but if I am not aware of that's the thing that lights me up, it's really tricky and difficult to control it if you're not even aware of it,
Yeah.
And so
that's where again, those relationships surround you, right? Because it's I got you, you got me, but also you can be honest with me and vice versa, and I won't be defensive or mad. And that a lot of that, it's when you have like a significant other, that you have that relationship with, that can be extremely beneficial for you, because they may not be shy about telling you what triggers you, but at least you have that honest input, and you can use that to your own benefit instead of being defensive about it.
Right. Do you think, like, as a leader, in crisis, do you think it's more is what you say more important, or is it how you show up physically and emotionally? What is it that's really more important? Are the words important, or is it how your just general presence in that moment?
Yeah, I think for sure it's presence, and then maybe second to that, it's validation. That they can be allowed to feel that way, that they can feel the things that they're feeling, and that's okay. Barring something disastrous, like it's like suicidal, because we don't want people to go down that route. But you do want to be there. It's one of those things where, especially the darker it gets, the more tragic it is, like to be there to cry with them, maybe to laugh with them, to just sit in silence, and just so that they're not alone. And then to validate, just their feelings in that moment, or whatever decisions that they made, and why they made it. Doesn't mean you agree. It just means that you're allowing them to be them.
Right. And one of the things that I had to learn to be more calm. Something I'm still learning, and I think that it's something that I thought that people were kind of like that was the way they were. But then I started realizing like there are certain things that I can do to help train myself to be more calm. For me, like I said, is like I was talking to my wife today, and she's like, I'm waiting for the weather to get a little bit warmer because I want to go swimming again. And I said, you need to, because like if I don't get some type of physical activity in, oh man, it builds up, that energy builds up, and I just start feeling restless and more angry and more grumpy. And so for me, I have to show up and go to those Muay Thai classes with my daughter because that keeps me sane. Hitting that punching bag, I just see all of the people that have pissed me off that day. Just like all that energy goes right there. And then I don't yell at the person who ticked me off that day,
Yeah, it's like the good kind of tired.
Right.
I've been doing jujitsu. So I've been the punching bag because I'm a white belt. But yeah, it's that same kind of energy that you can expend, and because I don't know, if maybe it's your body just wants to expend that energy, and if you can get it out and get it out in a positive way, it doesn't have to come out as a negative way. But and what you're saying before with learning patience, I mean, nothing, or calmness, nothing's gonna prep you for that, like having kids.
Right.
I thought I had some type of calmness and patience before children, and I realized that I was completely wrong.
Right. Well, that is something too that I wanted to ask you, like, because I hear people all the time talking about, learn these principles and succeed in the business, arena or this or that. And I'm just like, honestly, I would love to make more money, have a more successful business. But there's one reason for that. It's so that I can have a little bit more like float financially for my family, But at the end of the day, like nothing's more important to me than the time with my wife and daughter, And like hands down, my wife just popped in here a couple minutes ago and brought me some food. And my daughter
Nice.
came in and left me a little note on the table. And they're like podcasting, and they love to just come in and pop in and say hi. And but for me, like, especially with my daughter, I had to learn to be more calm, and a lot of it was defensiveness. Like I watch way too many videos of like nature is metal and things like that, and I'm just like, I watched this one video tonight, and I was just like, and it was like. I could hear, I was just watching the video and I could hear like in my head, like, the narration, a little zebra tried to cross the river, and then the crocodile took it. I was like, it was such a horrible little video. Like this sad little like baby zebra was trying to cross the river with its mother, and these giant crocs were just like, nope, and just like, oh man. But I mean, I think that's always been in the back of my head as a parent. Like there is this just underlying fear about keeping my kids safe, and that if I don't keep that in check and try to focus on the calm, like that will eat me up. I'll get like, and then I'll start snapping at her. Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't go there. But it doesn't make me a great parent. How does like this calm as a leader carry over into your role as a father, man?
I guess I don't want to sound cold, but like everything truly is like this risk versus benefit type scenario. And what separates us from animals is that we can defer the reward, right, for a better one.
Yeah.
For those zebras, it was like, I just need to get across this river. Let's jump in, right? But we're smart enough to be like, I think I can wait till the crocodiles leave, and the reward would be greater.
Right.
So
Right.
in that way, when we're parenting, if we paint everything in that light where, okay, the reward now will be I get to be right, or I get to, stop this maybe slightly dangerous thing from happening. But in the long run, what is it going to teach them? Is it going to teach them that dad was just always right, or I didn't get to, develop as a child because I never got to do anything slightly dangerous,
Right.
and now I'm kind of a useless adult. So all that stuff comes down to that risk versus benefit, and when we continue to use that, we kind of give ourselves a level of calm because I gave this thing an analysis too. You know what I mean? It wasn't just like a knee jerk, this is how it's going to go. It's like, no, I did think I weighed the pros, I weighed the cons, and, and the more that we do that too, maybe the quicker we can. So that's not, we're just like, give me a minute, can I ride my bike? Give me an hour. I'm going to let you know, it's not, it won't be that bad, it'll be faster, but at least then we can come to terms with our decision making, and hopefully it will limit the amount of anxiety exposure that we have to it.
Right. If you could give your kids one bit of advice about staying calm under pressure, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a big one. That's a toughie. I would say that a lot of that starts beforehand, and I would say a lot of what you need is self-esteem to stay calm under pressure. It's confidence that comes from it, and when you don't have that, you'll sink into chaos. If you don't have a confidence built by self-esteem, like not just because people tell you you're special, but because you believe that you are in a healthy way, then you're going to fall apart. And if I could impart that, to my kids, I feel like I've completely succeeded. If I can impart that type of self-esteem that creates confidence, because then they can pull it together, think, okay, I can do this. What's my next step? And hopefully, not get stuck, but move forward.
I love that. I think if you're not prepared for the things that could go sideways, it's tough when they come. I was working with my daughter, and that's one of the reasons we had her in. She's doing martial arts, and I do Muay Thai with her, is because my wife was like, I initially said, she's got to study martial arts. I was just like 4 years ago. My wife was like, it's so violent, it's so dangerous. I was like, it's going to be good for her. And so she's like, I want her to stop. I don't want her doing that. So we stopped until there was one situation where my daughter went on a field trip with her school. They were taking the kids swimming every week. And this one guy at the swimming pool started following her. And every week this person would be there and kind of creeping around, watching where she went. And I went and sat there. Finally, I would after the first week, I was just there. But I was like, I told my wife, I was like, we won't be able to be there forever and always. It's better that she learns this stuff. My wife's like, yep. And my daughter thinks that she can handle herself now. She's a very confident 10-year-old. She's definitely not there. And I was like, she's like, what if someone like an adult tried to do something? I said, you need more practice. You got to keep practicing, because when that bad thing happens, whatever that might be, and that might not be someone trying to attack you. It might be just you're dealing with some other type of situation. You got to be prepared. You got to learn how to handle stress. Was it I don't know if it was Mike Tyson or someone that says the best laid plan is go out the window, you get punched in the face.
Yeah. I think that was it. Yeah, it's hilarious. Yeah, it's either him or Holyfield, right? Yeah. And at the same time, the best plan of that is be prepared to get punched in the face. Like that happens in life, right? And being clear that, and not, you don't want to you put yourself in this mire of anxiety, but bad things are going to come. Things are subject to change, but good things are coming too. So it's not just that everything is coming is bad, but it's just to prepare yourself to be in the mindset where things are subject to change, and what truly matters is how I climb out of this thing.
Yeah.
And
be
get
prepared
back
to get punched in the face.
Yeah,
when something good happens, it's a lovely surprise.
Right, and enjoy it. enjoy that it's not a punch in the face.